Yeah.
I hope no female is ever subjected to that. Never. Never want to see them in combat zone. No, but it's not a matter of whether they put them up there or not. It's whether or not they find them themselves. Like I said, the Russians can maneuver so fast now. I mean, Christ, you look at the mobility of a tank. World War II, what could it cover, you know? 30, 40 miles a day. Now, you're talking about 200, 300 miles a day. What the hell? There ain't no such thing as a safe line. Shit. It's wherever you find your ass. And a lot of females, like in your case, 31 Mikes, 05 Charlies, they're going to find themselves brigade or division headquarters, right? And they're not going to be that damn far away. At least you're going to be within artillery range, the way artillery is now. And if they get infiltrators, you'd be within sniper fire. I mean, what the hell, nurses, medics, they went through in Korea, Vietnam, World War II. Yeah. So it's not unusual, right? But they just don't publicize the fact. I'm quite sure quite a few women were killed in combat in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. But you never hear about it. Because American society all of a sudden become extremely shocked that they had females actually killed in fighting. Oh my God, that's unheard of. Shit.
How do you think the war affected you?
That's not the most asinine question you asked all damn night, girl.
Well, you know, you talking about...
Tell you what, you, a part of your humanity, a large part of it, your soul, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's never going to be there again. It's gone. God damn, it's gone. And you don't know it until it's over. And then long afterward, as you grow older, you start missing it. That's what I mean. Who in the hell doesn't want to be loved? Right? Everybody does. You've got to be. If you got anything at all. I can't give it to anybody anymore. I can't. It's not in me. I just can't do it. Right? Like right now, my mother, right, she's got a serious kidney failure. I can't even bring myself to cry about that. I can't even bring myself to go home. I should have my ass home right now. Because Mom might be dead tomorrow. I don't know. But this is all I got. I can't give nothing to anybody else anymore. It's been stripped, it's been taken from me. It's like you're standing naked. There's nothing left. I want to have a family, I want to have a wife, I want to have kids. But there's no way in hell I can do it now. There's no way in hell I can do it. There is so much, oh God, there's so much missing.
Everybody take a deep breath. Let it out. Say thanks.
Thanks.
All right, look around, look at your buddy, make sure she's uglier than you are.
And you got it in the bag.
Yep. All right, hold it. Hold it. All right, this time everybody smile, say facts.
Facts.
All right, get out. End of the movie. Let's go.
Oh, did you get it? Did you get it? You sure? I want to be an airborne ranger.
I want to live the life of...
That's what you call it. I can't talk French like you.
What makes a good Cajun, Dennis?
A good Cajun, you got to be a sport, a good sport to be a Cajun.
Like to gamble and flirt and...
Gamble and hunt the woman. Got some cigar box, and we made a Sitio violin out of cigar box. Then I said, well, we're going to get some string. Well, he said, I got an idea again. His mama had a brand new screen door. Oh, bonsoir, moro. Oh, bonsoir, moro. Oh, connaissez-le, bonsoir. Bonsoir, moro. Bonsoir, moro.
The Cajun country was settled by French speakers from Canada, and they absorbed and Cajunized their local Indian neighbors and the settlers who came later on from various parts of Europe and from Africa and the West Indies. Out of this mix came a new culture with its own cuisine and its own music. Some call the music pedodo, some call it zydeco. It's played on European instruments with an African beat. The Indians have added their sauce. And today, young Cajuns are spreading it all around the world. These Cajuns are living up to an old Cajun motto, ne lâche pas la patate, which means don't drop the potato. And that says don't give up the thing that's most important to you, your culture. I want to share with you one of my most extraordinary experiences driving down Misty Road past shining silver marshes that are so typical of that area because it's all low-lying. You're always draining water so you can farm. It's a rice area. I encountered a huge band of mounted, bedecked riders. They were celebrating the Cajun Mardi Gras.
We give them all the beer they want to drink all day long. They drink till 7 o'clock tonight.
It was a day when you were supposed to misbehave and be punished for it. And the punishment, delivered with phallic whips, was renewing the world in this old springtime rite. Many levels of symbolism here. It's an old custom brought over from France, ages old. And these Cajun ranchers have put it on horseback. And they take it down the misty lanes through the neighborhoods, visiting all the farms and calling for contributions to their Mardi Gras gumbo. The captain is the head of it all. He keeps them in line and negotiates their relationships with the ranchers because you have to be careful on Mardi Gras Day.
I was drunk before daylight. We'd get drunk, we'd take off, go from house to house, we'd change costumes so the people wouldn't recognize us.
When you changed your costume, you could do what you wanted. Nobody knew who you were, huh?
That's right. Well, you're supposed to fool them. With that mask, they didn't know who you were. A lot of time I'd dance with a man, and they thought I was a woman. I'd squeeze him a little bit.
Mardi Gras song, it's a begging song. You get to a house like this and you ask for a little bit of sausage, a little bit of rice, a fat hen, anything to make the gumbo for that night. The whole community can come and eat. It's open to the public.
Tu vas chercher la poule. Oh, yeah.
Every farm has to pay for this fun by contributing a chicken or so to the gumbo pot. And There's a wild time. There's a hint of blood sacrifice in it all. But you discover that the main point is that the men are breaking into the ladies' chicken money. Their chicken money out here in this patriarchal culture is the one thing that the ladies absolutely control. But on Mardi Gras Day, these wild riders break into the bank. And so the procession goes on through the misty lanes, visiting every farm in the neighborhood, linking the whole countryside in a rite of giving and receiving and joyous springtime exchange. Just a few miles away, we ran into the black Mardi Gras. Here, the body language and the behavior was a lot more flowing and sexy. And the atmosphere was not so much of rough horseplay, but of neighborhood conviviality and fun. In the typical black Mardi Gras style, the main point was dancing and making music together. The women have broken into the black Mardi Gras and are now taking a major part in it. And now they're gathering around to hear Canray Fontenot, who's a kind of musical sage.
A long time ago, they had another type of song like old man Fabrice Gury used to sing. That was the old time Mardi Gras. That must have been hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Okay, let's hear it. Come on,
Vous devrez bien y recevoir. Oui, mon cher. Y'all can jump. Oui, mon cher camarade. Vous devrez bien nous donner un pouls. Quand même, c'est un petit brin de riz ou un petit brin de la graisse. Compagnie a beaucoup faim. Mon cher camarade. La tête de mon petit fils.
Here's a true cultural marriage for you. The song is French, the gumbo is African, the costumes are French, and the sound comes from the Cajun variant of the African hot wind and percussion orchestra, the typical Zydeco combo of accordion and frottoir or washboard, playing hot licks to what might be an old African chant.
Well, I put my meat, I seed the meat, pepper, and a little bit of garlic, onion, custom, and salt, pepper. Yes, water. Cut the meat. Yes, I have a hot time this morning for cut them big roasting chicken.
The Cajun culture was a sort of a melting pot of its own. Different kind of people from all over came here. And all of these people sort of cooked in the same pot. Yeah. And it's kind of like when you make a gumbo, you know? And you put a whole bunch of ingredients together and you let that boil a good while. And it's better than any of the different ingredients. And that's sort of what happened here. Cajun culture, I think, is something that has become different from just the sum of the parts. It's something new that happened only here in Louisiana.
The French-speaking country where this cultural gumbo was cooked lies west of the Mississippi in the French-speaking triangle of Louisiana. Long isolated by a watery environment, it's a fertile, shining prairie land laced with canals and bayous, bordered to the east by the vast swamps of the Atchafalaya Basin, and merging in the south with marshland and coastal islands that are neither land nor sea. But I was astonished to find a very similar environment in western France, the homeland of the Cajuns. Of course, every group who's come to America has tried to match its new environment with its old homeland. The Spanish in the dry Southwest, the Scandinavians round the chilly Lake States, the blacks in the tropical Caribbean. But the Cajuns found a new homeland that matched their place in Poitou. It's another low-lying, marshy plain along the sea's marge. It's a land of fishermen and seafarers. Here, French expeditions sailed to open up colonies in the New World. Inland, I found a vast marsh laced with canals, site of an age-old fishing, cattle-raising culture. And behind that, a fat, wet farm country, and also similar to the Cajun landscape, that it seemed like home to my Cajun friends.
I found that the people that were my parents and my grandparents' age, that I had no problem with my French at all. I found some beautiful, warm people. The doors was open, the wine cellars were open, and the good times rolled every night, every day, all the time.
In colonial times, country dancing and fiddling were all the rage in Western France. In fact, in all of Western Europe and America, the fiddle became the darling of the frontier, therefore, and still is king of instruments in rural USA, especially in Cajun country. Saturday night Cajun balls still vibrate with 19th century French joie de vivre. But there were also grim episodes in the past of the Cajuns. The fort of New Rochelle saw the final defeat of their Huguenot ancestors after a century of bloody religious warfare. The Huguenots, you remember, were French Calvinists who fought hard for religious freedom and reform in France, like the Puritans in England. Thousands of Huguenots were massacred and driven into exile. But they left their impress in the spare church architecture of Poitou, and perhaps in the severe sexual code of the regions, and its consequent attachment to the sad love songs of the Middle Ages.
Je m'y ferai nonne dans les couvents. Tu n'auras plus d'attente, mon cher amant.
Thousands of Huguenots had to flee France. These refugees became the vanguard of French settlement in America, and years before the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock, they transformed the coastal marshes of Nova Scotia into the fair land of Acadia. The friendly Indians taught them wood lore and that all men have equal rights. And they became so prosperous and independent that when a choleric British governor drove them out of the Acadian home in Nova Scotia, they kept their Acadian identity in all their wanderings. The expulsion and the scattering across the sea actually crystallized the Acadian people. It brought out their innate stubbornness and independence. And when they got to Louisiana, they adapted to the big marshes and swamps there like so many alligators. They mastered the bayou country with their boats and dikes and decked the wild Spanish ponies of the prairies and became dashing vaqueros. And true to their romantic heritage, they reinstituted the nightly tournament, and that's still to be seen in Louisiana today. In these tournaments, the lowly cowherd of Poitou becomes a knight on horseback, spearing rings for his lady love.
The defending champ completing his second round of competition.
He's got himself a bunch of rings.
And so the first Acadian immigrants into Louisiana became cattle ranchers. They picked up the arts of the cowboy from Mexicans and Indians out on the prairies, rounded up the wild longhorns, and by 1760 had established their own brand book. Almost 100 years before the Texas trail drives began, these Cajun cowboys were driving big herds to market through the swamps, using the skills of their French marshland ancestors.
I can remember when I was a small child, they would drive them over to the little town, Mamou, where they had a big cattle pen, and they would just load him up on the train and send him off. About that time is when this song came out, and it's called Hippitayo. C'est le hippitayo, char, quand volait mon traîneau, bébé. Et quand la vie c'était chaud, ils ont ramené mon traîneau. Ils ont volé mon capot, char. Ils ont volé mon chapeau, bébé. Et quand la vie c'était chaud, ils ont ramené mon traîneau.
When my father and I first heard these Cajun cowboy songs, we thought they were pulling our leg. We knew the Chisholm Trail, which ran, come-a-tie-yi, yoopy-yoopy-yay, yoopy-yay, come-a-tie-yi, yoopy-yoopy-yay. And here they were using the same kind of refrain. Well, I found out that they had a cattle herding hound called the Tio. And looking into things further, I discovered that yoop-yoop and Kai-yi and Tayo were old French and Canadian cattle herding calls. And it looks like maybe that the Texas traditional cowboy songs may have had a Cajun origin.
Oh, mama! Oh, mama!
Some people want to think of this as a pure French culture. It's not a pure French culture. It's a French culture that existed in cowboy land. Have rodeos and horse shows here where people still, to this day, show off their prowess with the horse. Cajuns will bet on just about anything. Horse races, cockfights, frog races, crawfish races.
The thing that surprised most people, I think, about this scene is the fact that black people and white people meet on these tracks and have fun, and there's no problems, and everybody hollers, everybody jumps up and down, everybody calls each other names. I never saw anything, I'm a Southerner, I never saw anything like that in my whole life until I went to Karen Crow on weekends. But that's the truth, isn't it? I mean, this is the one place where, you know, the old race stuff just never did work.
Not around here.
Why is good here all the time?
Yeah, you can discuss when you lose, too. So you go to the big track, you don't tell them nothing.
Probably the ancestors of some of these folks were freedmen in time of slavery, property owners, well-educated, attending mass with their white neighbors, speaking French, and rejoicing in the same French traditions, like this old-time drinking song that the whites have now forgotten.
Allons chercher, chercher, chercher. Oh, de quoi de neuf vertus, c'est comme des camarades. De quoi de neuf vertus, c'est comme des camarades.
But in the time of slavery, most blacks were field hands. And under the Louisiana system, it was a miserable existence. In fact, a slave sold south to Louisiana used to tell his family goodbye forever. Blacks were expendable because the slave ships kept bringing in new fodder for the system from Africa and Haiti. This reason, the black strain in the culture here was constantly renewed with music like this from Africa, where hands and feet and voices make a dance orchestra. I recorded almost the same sound in Louisiana in 1934. 3 young men pounding and clapping and shouting out a rhythm for the ring of strutting couples. They called it Jure. 50 years later, I could hardly find a trace of the Jure until I visited Canray's 80-year-old aunt, Doris Dean, whose head was full of the old-time music.
Lord, Lord, des Jure, c'est my Lord. Lord, 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 des Jure, like ignorant. Mais il n'y avait pas de chansons dans les églises. Et c'était dans les maisons les Jure étaient. Comprends? Parce qu'on n'avait pas d'accordéon. On n'avait pas rien. Plus que des fois, ça jouait les musiques des bouches, des Jure. Mais on n'avait pas de ça pour l'ensemble des Swing they go, fire well, swing they go, fire well, the halali, the halala, oh fire well, the halali, the halala, oh fire well, choose your part, fire well, choose your part, fire well, the halali, the halala.
Doris Dean's old Jure piece may bring us close to the roots of Cajun music. The words are part French and part English, but the tune has an Indian as well as a black quality. Doris Dean is mighty proud of her Indian ancestry.
Sauvage noir. Et là, ma grand-mère, la maman, un sauvage grise. Yes, ça fait mon nez, c'est comme un sauvage.
Her family, the Fontenot, belonged to a group of French-speaking Indian soldiers from Alabama who settled on the prairies in the early 1800s in the territory that historian Carl Bressot calls the Cajun cultural heartland, lying between Mamou and Ville Platte. This is the place where the French, African, and Indian mix may have taken shape. In Ville Platte late one night, we found a relic from this early period. The singer played a roasting pan with a fork and was accompanied with the hot two-handed black accordion style. From Africa, almost the same tune with the same combo. And now in Louisiana, the active, pulsing left hand produces a hot, syncopated accompaniment with a song. This is the black accordion style that's put the heat into Cajun music. Its roots seem to be African. Cajuns, like their French ancestors, are dance mad. It's a place where girls come to meet their boyfriends, and the men like to lean up against the bars and tell lies about their endless adventures in their beloved game-rich swampland. When you hear these stories, remember that the first science fiction writer was a Frenchman named Jules Verne.
I had a fish so big, I just took the picture. Just the picture with 57 pounds. I couldn't bring the fish and I let him go in the bayou over there. Must have been a pretty good catfish.
Yeah. You know, my father once told me that when he went to Shinyatig and he goes to dances and all,